greatest intellectual shift that occurred during the past 700 years or so of Western thought is not marked by the 16th century Reformation, which in many ways was a medieval movement in schism. It's really what came after, the disunity. Attempts at toleration, for example, the Peace of Augsburg in 1555, were fragile, limited in scope, and proved to be the exception to the rule of mutual hostility. Late 17th century Europe is a world weary of war and conflict. And so I want us to think about two sort of opposite reactions to the confessionalization and the conflict of the 16th and early 17th centuries. First, what I would call deconfessionalization and enlightenment. This is sort of a distancing from orthodoxy and from the confessions of faith. Another reaction is pietism. It is the emphasis on works of piety and practices of sanctification and good works. So to really oversimplify this distinction, one is an emphasis on the head, another an emphasis on the heart. Both of these, though in many ways diametrically opposed to one another, had in common a de-emphasis on doctrinal controversy, and eventually a popular aversion to doctrinal sophistication. Both were reactions to the controversies that resulted from the Reformations. So just think about that process of confessionalization and the scholasticism and really the war and wars that resulted from all of this. And just think about two trajectories. And this, if you consider this, it's really in some ways a summary of the last 500 years or so of church history. On the one hand, pietism led to revivalism, especially in England, and then in America, the Great Awakenings, and what eventually influenced evangelicalism. On the other hand, there was this emphasis on enlightenment as the age of reason, which led to, in the 19th century, so-called liberal Protestant theology. And one of those trajectories from the Enlightenment also led to deism in the 17th and 18th century, and eventually atheism. If you like what you've heard and you want more, visit Christian-Studies.org and subscribe to the video course on understanding the Bible. And while you're there, check out our journal and other content from the Center for Christian Studies.